And now we're here. I'm guessing you can hear me now. Apparently, if you push the power button on the mic, it works much better. Things that I learn in every now moment. Always growing, always growing. So I just want to pull a card. It's from a Rumi deck. I'm very curious what this card will be. I'm not going to look at it yet. But I know it'll be fabulous. Well, now I looked at it. Ooh, it's so pretty. Look at that. It says Layla. Isn't that lovely? We'll see what it means. Okay, thank you. You can hear me now. Thank you. So something that I was wanting to kind of talk about and just dive into and mess around in and explore and expand and play in. I want to play in this conversation because this conversation can be very heavy. Because we're gonna be talking about triggers. I mean, just the word trigger can be triggering to a lot of people. So hopefully, taking that with a grain of salt, that we are going to be using the word trigger. And if that is a sensation for you that is uncomfortable, I invite you to replace it in your mind or heart with any other word. And it could be like whatever that word is that resonates for you. I invite you to replace it with something that is more resonant for you, which kind of leads me into the topic. So I was really called today to dive into this notion of religion and spirituality and how that has affected our life up until this now moment. And many of us have experienced a whole lot of triggers, a lot of traumas, a lot of dramas, a lot of unprocessed emotions that came with concepts around spirituality and or religion. I find in my studies and my lived experience that these places of discord, these places of triggers always came from a dogmatic perspective, the I'm right, you're wrong perspective. And as soon as we start to impart judgment, if anyone has ever judged us for anything outside of us, you know, like your mama judged you for something, or the neighbor, or the other lover did, whatever, we have a really hard time like not taking that shit personally. And then we're like, what's wrong with me? You know, or we get mad and we deflect back and we judge in our retaliation. So we're just taking this big ball of judgment and we're either taking it and absorbing it in, swallowing it and getting sick, or we deflect it and push it back out. And sometimes we'll take it in, we try to process it and we try to transmute it and we just sit with it so long that it starts to fester and rot and we start to get sick. And then what happens is we just start to shoot it out in little judgmental increments. Right? So then our religion and or spirituality ends up being something that's triggering and harmful for someone else because we haven't been able to process through it. So this is kind of what I want to dive into. I want to share what Alan says, and I want to ask y'all a question. I'm happy that you're here, Alan. It says, one of the biggest lessons I've learned in PRN was to recognize and deflect my triggers. They have been haunting me most of my life. Yes. I'm so glad you said that, because have y'all ever recognized your triggers in anything? Okay, so I'm not the only one. You're not the only one. Now, here's a question. If you're really honest with yourself, have you processed them enough to where they don't deflect? Meaning, are you able to stand there, say someone says something and it hurts your feelings? Does it like bounce off me, stick to them, like the I'm rubber, you're glue kind of thing? Or does it just like flow through and it's like you just like dodged a bullet and you're just like, I don't even know what just happened. I think you said something. Deflect it?
It depends on my spiritual condition.
Depends on your spiritual condition. Will you elaborate on that?
If I'm well within my purpose, if I am in a space where I know who I am, who my higher power is, it's much easier for me to handle stupidity.
Yes. Okay.
Deflecting judgment, absolutely.
Okay.
But it is. I'm in a space today, so. But I know when I'm settled, my triggers are not as prevalent.
When
The
you're
buttons aren't as far out, as easy to push.
okay. So when you're feeling settled, when you're feeling whole, connected to yourself, to your source, to your heart, to the word that resonates for you, that it's like whoever is there to push your buttons, it's like they have to push really hard to really get you. Otherwise, it's like, meh, like whatevs. I would like to offer this word as an invitation, because when we call someone stupid in any realm, it's not bad. It's not bad. There's no judgment. There is no judgment. This is a judgment-free zone. Always. I'm not wearing judgy pants. It's too hot out here to be wearing pants anyway. I'm so impressed with you right now. Anyway, I'm like, Drippy McDripperson. It's cute. But I love the word ignorant. And I mean that with love,
Yes.
Because it's just a non-knowing. I just don't know what I don't know. It doesn't mean that I'm stupid or that I'm dumb or that I'm in lack. It's just that I'm oblivious. So oblivious, ignorant, unknowing, I think those words can then show others what overcoming spiritual and religious damage can be like. Because I'm finding, and tell me if y'all feel this, I'm finding that people are really good at being like high and mighty on like, I'm so connected to God. I'm so with God. God is with me. God answers. I put everything on God. And then it's like they look at you like, what is wrong with you? Because you apparently, if you have anything bad in your life, you haven't accepted God into your heart. And so what's wrong with you? Like, I'm not the only one that has that experience, right? Like of that kind of way of being. I don't like it. I'm just putting that out there. I don't like it at all. I got sidetracked because of like the feeling that like that takes me into, We were having a little bit of a conversation before we hopped on here. And Sharon, would you like to share what we were kind of talking about before?
About
anything ever.
Well, okay. My experience, I considered myself an altar junkie.
An altar junkie.
Yes.
Ooh, I want to know more about what an altar junkie is.
Well, I knew in me that the answer was a higher power. That was that connectedness to everything was the answer. But I would seek these out in every kind of church and kept getting beaten with the word abomination because of my sexuality. So, you're good, get saved, everything will be great. Oh, you're that? No, that doesn't count. So you were... salvation didn't count for me.
Oh.
And I have been asked to leave churches.
Wow.
And I was not radical back then.
Yeah.
And it's something when people tell you that God doesn't even like you.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of fun.
No, like that's a feeling.
A lot of triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where the and I hate that word too, but that's where the
yeah, for sure. Because to be treated like that, like it's just stupid. To be like, I love you and you and you and you and you and you and you. Oh, but you are this, right? You're in a melanated body. You're homosexual. You don't have children. You're divorced. Like what other things? Oh my, yeah, you're another faith. Yeah, you're another faith. You know, whatever it is, you're of a different faith. So you are all these things. So God loves every one of us, but they don't love you because you are this label. You know, you identify as such, you know. And I've even been exposed to some doctrines and religions that say that, like, if you are a woman, basically you're not, like, if you identify as a woman, if you're in a woman body, welcome. You're perfect. If you are in a woman body, that you are not as lovable, you know, because if you're in a man body, well, that is more godlike. So I think that oftentimes in a lot of dogmatic systems that we call religions, and I haven't seen that many spiritual groups, so I'm going to just say religions for now, if that is okay for everyone. Okay. And y'all let me know if that's not comfortable for you. But a lot of religions have been so just mean, just like straight up mean, creating triggers and traumas, huge division, big separation. Like everything is good except for you, and then you are shunned, you are abolished, you are going to go to the hell.
Audacity is someone to separate you from God.
Right.
I actually went. Do you mind?
No,
I
please.
actually went to church last week, to this church which I'm no longer going to be attending. But he was preaching on homosexuals. He used the word homosexuals are going to hell. They're all going to hell. And I'm like, I know. I just couldn't believe that. You know what I mean? And then my other friend said that she went to church and they had the same thing at that church. You know? And I have a transgender daughter, you know. If I want to bring her, I want us to be accepted, you know. So it's just so disappointing, you know, and it's just so unreal that people actually believe that. You know?
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And it reminds me of how, you know, when we go into a church and, you know, there's the person on the stage, you know, and so now they're the leader, right? They're the spokesperson, they're the authority. And we've already seen in so many studies that we are trained and conditioned to not question authority, to take authority's words on blind faith, whether they're wearing whatever lab coat that says that they are this, that, or the other, right? Whatever uniform that is. Right. And so we go into these places and they say something and it doesn't resonate in our heart as truth. Like, right? Like, I'm not going to go to hell. Like, you said I'm going to go to hell because I had sex before I was married. Like, okay, that doesn't feel true. And yet what it does is it goes down to a lower part of our energy center, into like our root and our sacral chakra. And it elicits this resonant frequency of fear. Like, oh God, what if I do? What if that hell place is real and they see me? They see that I had sex before I was married, or that I made out with that girl or that boy, or whatever the case is that institution is against. And so then that fear starts to grow so big within us that we don't process that. And that's when it becomes a spiritual / religious trigger. Right. So then we go through our own spiritual growth and experience, right? To where we're like, I'm not going to go to that church again, or I'm not going to go to any church again, or I'm going to start going to churches again. I'm going to create my own community or whatever. Yeah. And it's kind of like we start stepping into these places and we tend to feel very unsupported, very like confused, like I don't know where to go, but I want to try this, you know, and it's like, I don't know what to do now. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, so I feel like we're at this point of recognizing where these triggers come from. Right. And I don't know about y'all, but I think like 99% of the time they come from the church with a capital C. This is probably going to upset some people. I'm aware, not my intention. And I say that because it started with the Christian colonization when they took over everyone's land, especially if you were melanated. And they're like, you have to believe in this God, this way, blah, blah, blah. If not, we kill you, we rape you, we take all your land and your culture. Yeah. So that's why when I say the church, it has nothing to do with anyone's religion. It's the Christian colonization that came through to overtake. Right. So. Huh? Agreed. Yes. Right? So then it's like every single trauma that's not been resolved, I think most often comes from a place of fear, lack, judgment. So judgment will manifest as guilt or shame and stagnation. And those are the programs that have been put into us by the church. So then here we all are walking around, whether we've ever been into a church or not, we've grown up in the paradigm and the consciousness of the reality that we're all carrying around the church's emotional wounds, you know, whether they gave it to us directly or not, because it comes out through the mouthpieces of the congregation, right? Because I've heard the stories of like you all have been to the church and we're told very specific, basically you're wrong, like your child is wrong and you're wrong directly, you know? And it's like, and I haven't had that personal experience. Oh, I did go into a church one time and they were talking the same thing, like, oh, if you're gay, you're going to go to hell. And I looked at the person I was with and I'm like,
I know.
are you even kidding me? And then they said it again, and I was like, I'm out. Like, I can't. And I just, like, walked out and just waited. But
my God is love. And it needs love for everybody, you know, and anybody.
yes.
So, you know, I mean, that's what Jesus taught, and that's what I believe, you know. And I have been a Christian for a long time. I get disillusioned a lot, you know, like at this church, you know.
So here's a question. So have you had an experience in the church like any of them?
The only thing that's coming to mind has to do with being poor, growing up being poor, and not directly called out, but feeling like different. It was a sort of split church where you were kind of, well, just the environment, neighborhood, I guess, where I grew up. For a period of time, it seemed like it was sort of like upper middle class or sort of lower class. And I remember feeling very shameful of perhaps what I wore. I wore jeans one day, and this is so silly in comparison to something else, but I guess what I'm saying is I remember feeling very ashamed at church, whether it came directly from the pastor or someone in particular. I just remember my experience of church was that I was supposed to be there and I literally wanted to hide. Like I sat in the back of Sunday school. I'm sure some of the people in my Sunday school class, I remember that from being like 10 or something. Like I will never wear jeans to church again.
No.
It was just like getting picked on. So really insidious. Like it's, you know, it's not even like so outright of being shunned for being sexual, but like that was some sneaky stuff that
all these little rules that they have in place.
Mhm.
You have to tithe so much.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you have to do so much, and that's I believe in church. I always like the phrase, religion is for people that are afraid to go to hell. Spirituality is for people that are already been.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to repeat that. Okay, so
religion is for people who are afraid to go to hell.
Religion is for people who are afraid to go to hell.
Spirituality is for those of us that have been.
Spirituality is for those of us who've already been there. Let that one land.
And I can't remember who it was, but it was a very prominent religious leader that said that Jesus should probably sue for slander.
Oh, right. Jesus should sue for slander. That's a mouthful. Jesus should sue for slander.
Because what is said in his name?
Was it?
He didn't say a lot of this.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You want to talk about religion with a homosexual? We got the Bible down. We've had it shoved down our throats.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we know the red part of the book.
Yeah.
Right. And we know Leviticus. We've heard it all. When you start
I don't even know these books in the Bible.
Barbecue places. Because it's two up. You know, homosexuality is the abomination of the worst of the worst. And then two up from that is like, and don't eat sausage.
No
Or you'll
pork
go to
for
hell for
you.
that.
Yeah.
And shellfish. And don't wear mixed threads.
And
you know,
don't
just-
wear jeans.
That's right.
Yeah.
I always wear jeans.
Well,
it seems it gets to be ridiculous.
Yeah. it gets to be a bullying tactic.
Yes.
In a way that it's like, I'm going to pick on those that are in an environment, in a space where it's not open for feedback. Like, I love gathering in groups because then I feel like everyone has a chance to be heard.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's where community grows, and that's where I grow. And I want to learn because
Yeah.
I've only lived through this lens.
Right.
Church isn't like that. Church is like, I'm going to talk to you and tell you what's up, and then you don't talk back or anything. Yeah, put your money in the thing. And there are so many churches nowadays that you actually have to put in your W-2 so that they can see what percentage it is that you should
That's a cult.
tithe.
It sounds like a cult to me.
It does sound like a cult, and by definition, it is actually.
Yeah.
It by definition, and I say that with taking it all with a grain of salt, because if you have an iPhone, you're also in a cult. It's called the MacBook. I mean, it's like, so like, I get it. Like, I get that many of us are indoctrinated to be in a cult. Very aware. I'm aware, and I'm honoring that part of me. But it's a bullying tactic, to be like, if you don't think this way, look this way, talk this way, behave this way, speak this way, then you are not only wrong, but you will be punished in the name of God. Calling it something outside of what it is then minimizes what it is, because it is from all the spiritual, any text ever, down to like quantum physics, it all boils down to love. I haven't met any other spiritual teacher, advisor, religious, anything that says that God is not love. Right? I've never met anyone.
Right.
Doesn't mean that that's not a belief. That being said, I find it very fascinating because in such a large percentage of religions, God is judgmental. People are taught to fear God. And then I question, well, that's not in alignment with what it is. Like, love is love. Love is acceptance. Love isn't going to judge. Like, how, like, you can't fear love. You can be in fear around love, but fear, like, it's like it's an equation that doesn't compute. And so because many of us have experienced these moments where we've been in a group where we've been directly or indirectly called out for something that we are, right? I am poor, I am white, I am black, I am gay, I am this, I am that, I'm the other. So we've been directly or indirectly called out for it. And because we don't have an ability to be like, F you, what are you talking about? So, and because we're made to be quiet and only stand up, sit down, and sing when they tell us to, that is where we unresolve those traumas. That's where they go unresolved. Right. So they become a trigger because they are now a traumatizing experience, right? So,
can you share the other thing that happened?
Please.
At this church?
Yeah.
I have a very good friend named Thea who I've known for a long time. In fact, we met in the hospital. Okay, so I've known her for like 6 years, and she has mental health issues, and she is the loveliest lady I've met in a long, long time. And somebody asked, she had to go in the hospital like last week, and somebody asked where Thea was, and he was standing there, and he said, Thea's a drug addict with people around. I said, excuse me? I said, Thea's not a drug addict. I've known her for 6 years. I said, I know her very, very well. That's a terrible thing to say about her, But I was just like, couldn't believe it that he would say that. Now people are going to think she is. Some people might.
But if I say it in a prayerful way,
right?
It's not
yes,
gossip.
that's right.
Right.
Oh man, was I upset?
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to speak up for your friend that wasn't there.
Yeah.
To me, that takes a lot of courage to be able to stand up, and walk out of the room, or to stand up and be like, you don't know what you're talking about right now, or you're not honoring a human's privacy, or wow, you sure sound judgmental. Get off your soapbox. Like it takes a lot of courage to even like say these things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I want to take this conversation into a little bit. Is okay. So we have this awareness that many of us will, when someone says something to us, right, or we get a reflection, right? We've changed. You've changed. Now we don't get along. So like, I'm going to have reflections of me outside of me, right? So Oh, Alan says love never fails. True that.
Yeah, I like that.
So when we have these reflections outside of us that make us feel small, like we're losing our marbles, like we don't know what we're doing, or we feel wrong, or a big time confusion, or like whatever that is. We're coming into this awareness, at least in this now conversation, speaking for myself. Okay, well, 9 times out of 9.5, it's because of some religious dogma that was given to someone that's still in me, right? It's still in me. Like, you can come up to me and say, you're going to go to hell because you're divorced. And I could be like, okay, you know. And if there's a part of me that's like, like, what? Or I got, you know. So then I'm like, okay, well, that's part of that indoctrination that I still get to heal, right? I can blame you about it all day, right? I can get mad at you all day about it, but I'm not dealing with my own shit. And then that's me telling the church that the church needs to change before I can feel good, right? And that's just like, that's going to take too long.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, we'd be waiting forever. We'd be like, oh God, on our deathbed, the church. So my question is, how can we start to overcome this? I'll start with the self, okay? Because that's always the deepest one. So those times when you're in your shit, right? You're just in your shit. You're going through a change. You're going through a shift. You're going through a, do I do this? Do I not do this? Do I go left? Do I go right? Am I right? Am I wrong? Like, I'm in self-discovery mode and I'm on this path alone, right? How do you like overcome the, I'm going to put the words in here, whether they're accurate or not. If not, please express it accurately for you. How do we overcome the fear that would prevent us from seeking help or seeking support? Because the fear that we have from seeking the support in these moments of like, oh God, the fear that we have is based on someone else's bullshit judgment that came from the capital C church at some point.
Yeah.
Which to us represents God. And if God is not for us,
then how could anyone else be?
and I went there for support, and this is what I got.
Oh yeah.
So dare I reach out for support again?
Oh yeah.
Is that brave or is that
Keeping safe,
yeah?
Protected, yes, self-protected.
right?
I reached out to the church after my divorce, just trying to get some kind of support. It's a long story, but I'm not going to go into it. But anyway, they told me to move back to Buffalo. I have 2 kids here. Like, I'm really going to move back to Buffalo. They're like, why don't you just, Joe, my ex-husband he helped with the kids, you know, the junior high, senior high. So they believed him, and I had a lot of stuff to show that he just wasn't a good person. But I wasn't even going around doing that. I was just trying to get a little help for me and the kids because he had closed all the bank accounts. I had no money for food or gas. But they told me to go back to Buffalo.
Isn't that a hoot when you go to someone for help, support, love, advice, and they not only, they don't even have the power to say, I can't be of service. Instead, they deflect it back and basically say, like, you just need to go away.
Yeah, right.
Were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. I thought you were.
In response.
To anything.
I can't remember what your original question was just now, but I was thinking of centering, or that what your question sort of brought up in me is like, how do I stay in myself? How do I keep my own? And I do not have the answer to this question. It's literally something I'm currently trying to learn. It's like, how do I stay in myself and know my connection to source comes through me? And that's where it's found, and not me. So, advice, opinion, that's all.
Yeah.
really is. I am so glad you just said and asked that. So Jessica just asked, like, how do I stay in my center, keep my connection with myself and source, so that when anything does come in, it's like, you know, I'm
Yeah.
here, I'm with me, I'm connected, it's like you have this like energetic power suit on that, you know, if it needs to deflect back to them, it will, but you don't make it deflect, right? If it needs to flow through you, it does. So I would like to go around and see if anyone has any thoughts on how do you stay in that center, and I'll share mine. There are very few steps, and I go back to my breath, I go back to this now moment, and I literally envision the channel of energy that connects me to the heavens, to the earth. My heart is the apex, and I just breathe into that remembrance that we're all connected, and that this person in front of me, whoever this is merely a reflection, an aspect of me as well. That's what I do. And then I'm there. Like, I just got there again. I was just like, okay, like, I feel like better already. So that's the way I go back to that. Do y'all have a way that you go back to that place?
Gratitude for me is, I think, my biggest weapon.
Ooh, gratitude. Weaponized gratitude. I love this right now.
It's a sword. When I think of gratitude, I think of a sword because it cuts through so much bullshit. You know, especially my own. You know, and if I can remember in that moment that I am loved, that I am taken care of, that I am a part of, things don't bother me. See, and I'm pretty good. You can say shit to me, and it doesn't bother me as much. But if you say shit to you, I'm all over you. You know, if you attack another person, that's, you know, and I've but that gratitude is what I try to stick with because it's the easiest, quickest way for me to get focused.
Gratitude. Will you share with me then? Where do you cultivate gratitude when it is something that you really have a hard time with? For example, I don't know anyone that's like, yay, war, right? So I'll just use that as this basic example. Can you help us? Where can we find space to cultivate gratitude when it's something so bad like that?
That's a tough one. I mean, I got nothing for war. When people come at me, though, I can be grateful that I'm not where they are.
Consider the source, kind of.
To be in that level of misery that projects that kind of judgment and that kind of
so to
visceral attack against people that are simply different.
So to have gratitude for someone that is coming at you or someone else with venom, right? They're coming out with their swords, their verbal swords, their physical swords, to remember like, wow, like I have gratitude that I'm not where they are. You know, I am so grateful, right? Yeah, that anymore thing, because I'm many of us have been there. Just once or twice. Just once or twice this entire lifetime. Just this one lifetime. But to even think and then let the feeling around the thought. Like, I am so grateful that I am not where they are anymore. And not just like, I'm grateful that I'm not you anymore, right? But that really feeling of like, I'm so grateful that I'm not there. And then what cultivates from that place is a wave of compassion. And when compassion starts to pour out of us, we become to be the embodiment of the source.
Yes.
And then that's when we start to heal those triggers at a cellular, like bone marrow level. So taking this a step further, right? Someone is taking their sword on us. We can have gratitude. I love this example. What if you're the one wielding your own sword? What if you're the one that's looking at yourself in the mirror and going like, what the F is wrong with you? You know? Or you messed up again, or you flew off the handle one last time, or you didn't clean the house well enough, or you didn't do this, or you did this too much, or what's wrong with you? So what if you're the one that is being that bully?
Yourself, right?
Yep. Is gratitude what you still cultivate? Or what can
It's
you?
harder. It's harder when I'm coming against myself
Mm-hmm.
because I know all my nooks and crannies.
The
I know
English
all-
muffin of our
Yes,
of our psychology
soul.
is like a thing. This soul English muffins up in here.
But it's harder because I believe that source more than outside sources.
You believe your own voice source, even if that self
came from
voice
somewhere.
is really not yours.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a hard one.
Can you recognize that voice when it's not yours? And I get it. So when I say it's not yours, it's part of the ego, it's part of the traumatized version, it's our dense self that we're ascending through. Can you I know, right? Everybody's like, I don't know. Look at that tree. Oh my god, it's a bird.
I didn't until this year, and I 100% honestly thought I was such a worthless piece of shit last year. I wanted to die. I wanted to be dead. It was bad, and I didn't die. What came through was that's when I found my spirit, because I was like, no, that's how I'm present to the differentiation right now, because when I hear that voice now, I might let it run for a second, but it's maybe because it's so recent in my just last year, I can recognize, like, I don't have to believe that, and I'm not a piece of shit. I'm not, whatever the thing is. I might stick with the crappy voice for a moment, but I'm so much better at catching it now, and at least I know not to believe it. Or feed it more, and love and compassion is what I offer. Again, it might take me a moment to get there, but at least I don't let it run away. Which is, I let it run for so long and got into a pretty dark place. I think that was such a significant thing for me to discover that distinction and understand, like, even in my wanting to die and almost dying, coming through that and not dying, I think I'm repeating myself, but that's how I discovered spirit, mine, and that it's all the same.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can differentiate between the voice that says, hey, you're a piece of shit, and then the other voice that can be more honored, more heard, more revered, more respected, more recognized. The bigger voice becomes the voice that says, no, you're not silly. You're love. You're divine. You're a goddess. You're a god. You are creator. You are source. You silly goose. You're love. And to be the voice of that, to be the voice that is that louder voice that says to the voice, whether they're within us or not, that's telling us that we're wrong and that we're a piece of shit and we just didn't do something good enough.
Yeah.
To hear it and recognize that that's an opinion, that's a belief system, it's just a consciousness. It's a dense consciousness. And then, okay, I hear you. I see you. I honor you. I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I'm going to turn that channel.
I've tried to set myself up over the years for more success in that realm. Because in my office when we were at Hawthorne, I would have stickies hidden where nobody could see them but me that said, you are a good person. You've got this. You are worthy. You are loved. You are loved. And there's certain rituals I have that set me up to be in a more spiritual frame of mind. And that helps me because so when the itty bitty shitty thing starts, I'm less. If it says in some of the 12-step literature that if I'm spiritually fit, I can go anywhere. And I know for me, if I'm not spiritually fit, getting out of bed is dangerous.
Yeah.
So I set myself up by doing things, by seeing things, by repeating things, by remembering things. by being grateful for things to set myself up so that I'm at least, going at a higher level so I can deflect some of that bullshit that comes at it,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I love that. I don't know if you heard Sharon share about I can't not say that. I can't not every time. About creating a ritual and reminders, and that in the 12th step there was something that really stuck out, which was when you're spiritually fit, you can go anywhere, and that she uses rituals, especially in the morning, like before you even really get out of bed, whether it's just like, okay, I'm going to get into this mind space, this mental space, this heart space. I want to wake up. I'm going to choose to be like, okay, well, I got to wake up today. I guess I get to do something else. My body may hurt or whatever. My heart may still be breaking because of the breakup or whatever that is. And to still be able to be in gratitude that we get to be a feeling human, that we get to have a bed, that we get to have a roof, or we get to have this tree, or we get to have this breath, right? So 2 things with that. Who has morning rituals that gets you in alignment, whatever that is for you? Okay. And who has an evening ritual that keeps you in your alignment, like before you go to bed?
Not really.
Okay. Okay. So there is a path. They're all paths, right? Spirituality, it's all path to the same thing, which in yoga words is samadhi. It's bliss. It's the connection to source. Maha samadhi is death. We're all going to go there, y'all. Like, we're all going to reach the same finish line, and it's just death. So really, it's just like this is the path of life is the path to death, which is eternal bliss. So we can live eternally blissful now as long as we so choose, right?
Yeah.
So there's one of the paths of spirituality that is called Tantra. And Tantra, in many religions talk about Tantra as being around sexuality, and it's all about sex and stuff like that. And it's not at all. It includes sex, which I think most religions have taken sex and any sexuality out of their teaching. So then anything with it, it's like, oh my God, it's the sex police, and it's not. Anyway, so the tantric path, it's always being in this present moment and connection with source, in the ups and the downs, the goods, the bads, the pains, the sufferings, and all that. One of the big key parts of the tantric practitioner is ritual. And it's making everything in ritual. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw me set everything up before I did anything. I'm shuffling my cards. I lit my sage. I'm sitting here. I did the chimes. And then when everybody got here, I got us all into this ritual of the same thing. And I'll end up doing it when we finish. And what Sharon was saying, I just want to amplify this because I think it's super potent and extremely medicinal. And I think if we all in this earth take this as like knowledge to play with and do with it what we will, take the concept of ritual with source and make it like first. So like before you get out of bed, before you leave your house, there is a ritual. And that may be that you look at yourself in the mirror, you put your hand on your heart and you go, I am love. I love you. I love me. I am love. Yes, let's do this day. High five to self. Like whatever that is, or you just breathe, or you light a candle, or whatever that is to you to get your frequency up, and you don't leave the damn house until you feel it. Because otherwise we just go into the motions, and then you're doing the same thing that the church did when it was stand up, sit down, sing, repeat, right? These rituals are healthy when they're done with actual presence and reverence, right? So taking these rituals, whatever that morning one is, and I'll get into the evening one, I'm just curious, what new ritual can you add into your morning?
I read like a story or something. I have like this 5 minutes with Jesus. And
like a little devotional.
Yeah, I read the devotional, and then I look up the Bible verses, try to see if I can understand it better. And then I get out and I make my coffee. So
awesome.
It's something. I pray. Sometimes I'll pray, for people, other people, sometimes for myself, but mostly for other people.
Nice. So you read a spiritual text, a devotional, something to kind of bring you back in.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you think about yourself and or others. So you take that devotion in and out.
Right.
And then you do your ritual. For some, it would be tea, sometimes coffee, lemon in the water.
Mhm.
So something like that to kind of nourish your body and kind of bring your human into the game.
Yeah. Right.
I love that. Thank you for sharing
You're
that.
welcome.
What morning rituals?
Already present, I write morning pages.
Morning pages writing.
One I would like to add is an expression of gratitude before I get out of bed. I really like that. I do it every once in a while, and it's definitely nice when I remember to do it. It's noticeably helpful. My morning pages are sometimes just only, which is, if you're all unfamiliar, 3 pages of free writing, and it's meant to kind of be a conscious, don't like clear it out before the day. But sometimes this morning it pulled me into a bunch of weird stuff, so I like the idea of putting something a bit more mindful ahead of it
Mm.
to set the tone or to move it all together. It's not serving as I like it currently. And yes, lemon water before coffee.
Yes. Lemon water before coffee is a huge changer in the game of the body.
Yes.
Seriously.
I drink water, but not with lemon.
Yeah,
I drink
it's
a lot of water before I start my coffee.
Yeah, the lemon before it will balance the pH. It starts to move the digestion along.
Oh,
So
great.
I used to drink the coffee so that I would have my bowel movement. And now, like, I don't have to. I can just do the lemon water, like
Okay.
room temp or warm lemon water, and it's like everything is just it just moves through easier.
Oh,
I really love the fact that you shared the morning pages of writing 3 pages, just a brain dump. And I love that you have the awareness that sometimes it is in light and it raises your vibe, and sometimes it can actually kind of bring you back down. Yeah. Right. And then it's kind of like, well, do you want to stop that ritual? Do you not? And I really like what you said. And I'd like to offer this in case anyone else didn't hear it, to add gratitude. So perhaps the gratitude before you even start writing is, I'm so grateful that I have paper, a pen, and a hand and a brain. All right, let's see what comes out. You do the dump, and then I'm so grateful that I was able to recognize that I still have pain and suffering and sorrow, and that I still have potential to feel different and better in any now moment. So bookending that in the gratitude will start to really heal it from all aspects. So I feel that anytime we go into the day and we get some shitstorm in our face, we're already in that bubble that we are the container of gratitude at that point. Thank you for that. What about you?
There are only 2 people in the world that know this. I don't know if you figured
Uh-huh.
that out. We'll tell it free there for a second.
More than 2 people are going to know this now.
I was given a song to my spirit, and I sing that every morning before I do my prayers. And I sing like Willie Nelson with a cold, right? So, I mean, the fact that my higher power gave me a song is hilarious to me. But, and no, I'm not going to sing it.
Is it a song that we would know?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
It's
It's like your
my
song.
song.
Okay,
It's my
gotcha.
song to my higher power, asking for openness, to start the day open. To those gifts.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful for that because it's so unexpected.
Yeah.
It was just such a gift. And I sing my song, and then I say my prayers, and then the 3rd and 7th step prayer from AA, which is where I started, and I honor that, and that's where I found the higher power, and it sums up everything I feel I need to say. And then just go about asking for blessings for people.
Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to share more of that, one, in case anyone didn't hear, and I just really love it. To sing. It is such a powerful tool to connect with Source because we emit the sound of Source in every single thing that comes out of our bodies. We are the sound of Source. We are the sound of Source. Everything. Source, right here. And to be able to sing is so magical and powerful, especially songs of devotion. I've been really like daily singing for the past year and a half, and it's very new to me, singing out loud, especially with others that can hear me. And it has completely changed all of who I am. You know, whether it's singing anything in Sanskrit, which, you know, those words themselves just have healing power just because the way the sound actually reverberates in and out of the body. And then sometimes they're in English, sometimes I'm making them up, sometimes I'm just giving myself a mantra over and over again. And eventually I'm going to hear the Catholic Church if I just speak it. And then I start triggering myself. And so then I need to change it into a song. And then I change it into something really lighthearted. And then I start to really uplift. And then when I am feeling that, when we are feeling that, like, oh, this feels good, like I feel like I am connected, then you make a prayer, a blessing. I know I said that backward, but you know what I mean. You know, you have this feeling about someone else, the earth herself, your neighbors, your loved ones, your ancestors, the future generations, put them all in a big Vitamix and zoom it with this prayer of like, yes, please let everyone be healthy and happy and liberated and well. Because quantumly, that shit ripples out, boom, and it makes the biggest difference ever. And not only are we then healing all of our triggers, traumas, pains, and sufferings, we have gone through space and time, which are just concepts, to all of the living beings on earth to help support them through their journey, whether they ever know that we gave them that quantum plop of love or not. It is so powerful. Doing that as a ritual every morning, I get up and I read a devotional and I take a line from that, and I'm going to sing that one line over and over to myself while I dance even. What if we add movement to this?
Yes.
Big potency. And then what we do is when we start to share these voices and we're starting to sing and dance and play and do these lighthearted things, we're living as the Tantra practitioner because we're living as a very present child, right? And the child, if you think about children, they're in that freedom, they're in pleasure, they're just in play, they're kids. Yeah. That's when the church really starts to indoctrinate the messages and go into that sacral zone, the sacral chakra. So when we start to do these things in active intention and like presence, we heal the sacral chakra. So we take away the probabilities of feeling guilt, shame, judgment. Not only that, we decrease the probability of even emitting that frequency out of us. And if I'm standing in, say, a frequency of love, because it's such a high frequency, and say you, because I know you won't, you come up in here and you're like super judgy pants and you're like angry and all this stuff at me, I'm literally not going to feel it. Not only am I not going to feel it, my energy field will encroach upon yours so much that you will have a miraculous healing, or you'll leave. Because you're not going to be comfortable, right? So to me, the point of overcoming these spiritual and religious triggers is so that we can be with ourselves, hear the voices in our heads, hear the voices from our neighbors, from the preacher, from the pulpit, from the neighbor down the street, from the parent, right, to the partner, and be able to just hear it and honor that they have a perspective that is maybe not in alignment with where I am. And that's okay. And that I can still be in love and be in joy and pleasure and singing and dancing and fucking up and then remembering and going through my own life, that I can still do that and be that. And that's, I think, when we actually start to connect with others that are doing it, because you recognize each other. It's like, I see you. You're here too. Woo, right? I love these conversations, just so you know. Not everyone, but some of the people are sharing that they also read devotionals. They do morning rituals to start the day, affirming morning rituals, reminding gratitude to the self to start the day, and evening ones. We only have a couple minutes. Can we just popcorn some evening rituals? Because think about this. Anything that I think about before I go to sleep, I will be taking that frequency into my sleep state, which will not give me as prophetic dreams, that's a human spiritual gift to have dreams of prophecy. So I'll be cutting that off because I'm in a density in my mind. So, and then I wake up and I'm still going to have the tails of that frequency of my thoughts the night before.
What about at night having gratitude again for the day,
Yes.
and then having like grace for yourself? Say you know something didn't go right that day, or you said something that was wrong and it's really weighing on you, but you can't change it, you know. Just say, I did the best I could today, and I'm going to start over tomorrow, and I'm going to let that go, because regret is hard to let go. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah. Regret's like a noose.
Oh, yeah.
You know, gratitude and grace for the day that we've had. You know, maybe
Yeah.
this wasn't the best day and you really flubbed up and you hurt a lot of people and you stepped on toes. To be like, I learned from it. I have a lot of gratitude when I'm open to learning,
Right.
and to give myself grace that I did human today. I humaned real well today.
Yeah,
My
right.
human was on point
Yeah.
today. Now let's see if my spirit self can guide the ship later, tomorrow. What are some evening rituals? I love those. Thank you.
Sure.
The only thing I do at night is occasionally is some like sinus training things that I learned was a great way to actually help process. Like when you're learning some important stuff that you really want to like move and keep the body physically functioning properly so that the spirit can flow.
Yes.
And I love when I remember to do get that back
Mm.
in place. It feels nice, and yeah, it's like a physical touch that is nice.
Yes.
Remembering to touch.
Mm-hmm.
Touch is so powerful, and we touch ourselves, you know, especially when it's not just, let me just get the lotion on,
Yeah.
you know, but just like, I'm going to enjoy that I have skin
Yeah.
right now, you know, and tapping. Yeah. Tapping, doing these emotional freedom techniques, tapping, bilateral tapping, pressure points, coming back to you with your breath and that presence. I think that's a beautiful technique before we go to bed. To amplify that is adding an affirmation.
Yeah.
I am peace. I am well. My life and body are in harmony. You know, and that way you're starting to create neural pathways that when you then go into sleep state, you're more likely to stay on that track. Thank you for that one. I love the, what's the nighttime?
To assess if I harmed anyone during the day.
Ooh, to check in on the ahimsa. Ahimsa is what they call it in Sanskrit. Do no harm.
And make amends if necessary. And I try to do that throughout the day, so I'm not at the end of the day calling somebody at 11:30. Like, I'm sorry I did that.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't want to carry anything, like you said, into my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't want to carry anything into my sleep that is undone.
Mm. Have you ever, and I don't know how this looks to you, so I'm curious, because this may be exactly how it's done or not. Do you sit with yourself and say, is there anything that I need to see clearly now so that I can grow and be a brighter light next time?
I need to sing my song throughout the day is what I
Mm.
need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just occurred to me now because it is about staying open. It's about staying
Oh,
open,
yes.
you know, and about love.
Yes. Sing that song all day. I love that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. I find myself singing whatever song. And what's cool about when we actually start singing devotional chants, right? Any mantras over and over again, any songs, that starts to create new neural pathways. So you know how sometimes when you get into like that dead zone and then the brain starts really taking over and you go into the rabbit holes actually turn into the songs that you sing. So then the subconscious voice is perhaps you singing Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, and you're like, and then you realize that, and then I go back, sirens, and then you go back to what the meaning of the song is. It's clearing all obstacles. Oh, I've been singing about clearing all obstacles today, that my path is clear. Ooh, you know what I mean? So then we don't go into addictive thoughts, which then take us out of any kind of recovery that we're in.
I got to work on affirmations.
I love
I
affirmations.
know.
Ooh.
I don't know how to do it. Get a book.
Yes, and there is, I'll tell you in a moment,
Sure.
because we'll be finishing up. Just don't let me forget. I want to share this Rumi poem for the card that I pulled. I'm so very curious what it'll be. It says, Put aside your clever schemes. O lover, be mindless. Become mad. Dive into the heart of the flame. Become fearless. Be like a moth. Turn away from the self and tear down the house. Then come and dwell in the house of love. Be a lover. Live with lovers. Clean your chest from all hostility. Wash it 7 times. Then fill it with the wine of love. Be a chalice for love. Be a chalice. You must be all love to be worthy of the beloved. When going to the gathering of drunks, be a drunk, become drunk. Your thought takes a course, dragging you in its wake. Move beyond thought. Let your heart lead. Be the leader. When the grace of love is revealed, be a mirror to reflect it. When the beloved's hair is loosened, brush it like a comb. Be a comb. Rumi,
Really beautiful.
right?
Yeah, I like that.
I love that when the grace of love is revealed, be a mirror to reflect it.
Yes.
So that's a great reminder for me to like get my ass into a mirror and let me see the love that I am so that human Jane can see it, so that I am going to continually be revealing source to me. And then I'm really going to start to heal all those religious and spiritual traumas that separated source from me, because that's all it is. It's just teaching us that source is separate. So that's the original trauma, right? Saying that we are not one. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye to you all first. Thank you all so much for being here. I love all that you shared. Yes, I love all that you all are sharing. I love the prayers at night. That is beautiful. Take care of yourselves and each other. If you are here and in the capacity and desire to do yoga tomorrow morning with me, get your mat, bring your plot, bring your blah. Bring your goat voices and your prompts. Be ready to sweat because it's summertime in the South, and we'll do some movement. Until then, I love you all, and I'll see you all